Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Monday, August 11th. Last week, a letter from the Texas Water Development Board confirmed Corpus Christi taxpayers are responsible for at least $231 million in principal plus interest on the proposed Inner Harbor seawater desalination plant, even if the project is never completed. According to the TWDB's letter, the city must decide by September 5th whether to close on an additional $210 million in financing this fall. If the city declines before TWDB begins pricing its bonds, penalties could be as high as $11.63 million to cover issuance costs. Missing the deadline would forfeit the funding commitment. Yesterday, Corpus Christi Mayor Paulette Guajardo issued an official statement recapping the letter, then saying, quote, "In the middle of a drought, political games with our water supply are unacceptable. The choice is clear: move forward now or pay the price. The people of Corpus Christi need water," end quote. City Council had recently voted to pause the project for 30 days to ask the board for clarification. The city of Corpus Christi received the official designation of a Coast Guard city last week. It is the first city in Texas to receive the honor. It was granted by the commandment of the U.S. Coast Guard and formally approved by U.S. Congress back in April. City leaders and military personnel gathered at the Corpus Christi International Airport at the Coast Guard facility this past Friday for a designation ceremony.
Becoming an official Coast Guard city, which has been said this morning, is more than a title. It is a powerful reflection of Corpus Christi's unwavering commitment in support of dedicated men and women of the United States Coast Guard. This recognition also reflects the important role the Coast Guard plays in this community, keeping our nation safe and strong. Over the years, a strong bond of collaboration and cooperation has flourished between the Coast Guard and the people of Corpus Christi.
That was Rear Admiral Will Watson, commander of the Coast Guard's Heartland District, which oversees Corpus Christi. Moving forward, the designation of Coast Guard City will last for 5 years with an opportunity for recertification. Today is the first day of school for some districts in South Texas. School safety is a big concern. Last week, Lon Gonzalez spoke with CCISD Superintendent Dr. Roland Hernandez about what's in store for the new school year. You can listen to that story on this past Friday's episode of South Texas Midday, wherever you get your podcasts. Corpus Christi City Council meets tomorrow. Among the items on the agenda, they will vote to authorize a professional services agreement to design, bid, and construct the Nueces River Pump Station Pipeline and System Upgrades Project. The city's full agenda can be viewed at corpuschristitx.gov. Speakers for the 5:30 p.m. general public comment session can sign up before 4 p.m. tomorrow at corpuschristitx.gov/sign-in or in person at the kiosk located in City Hall. Meanwhile, the City of Victoria will hold a special City Council meeting at 6 p.m. Wednesday at City Hall at 105 West Wanlin Street. The city will release a progress report on the work of the subcommittee formed to review the city's water system after the first boil water notice last month. At the City Council meeting last week, Mayor Dwayne Crocker said staff had started making operational changes, such as more frequent testing. City Council meetings are broadcast live online at victoriatx.gov and on YouTube at Victoria Meetings. Last year, Nueces County commissioners began discussing upgrades to the Hilltop Community Center in Annaville. Since then, the Commissioners Court has seen new faces, but the facility itself remains the same. Precinct 1 Commissioner Mike Pusley told KRIS News that cost was the main reason progress stalled. The original plan carried a $9.4 million cost. Now they're working on a scaled-back version of the renovation.
There's going to be a base project of the 3 main buildings that we're most interested in getting done, and the others would be offered as alternates in the process, and if we didn't have enough money to do the alternates, we wouldn't do them.
Pusley said the original bid and planning went over budget, so the county will now work with the contractor to identify cost-saving measures and keep the project moving forward. The Victoria College Board of Trustees will hold a public hearing and special meeting this afternoon to discuss the college's proposed 2025-26 operating budget and tax rate. The meeting will begin at 4 p.m. in room 101 of the Academic Building at 2200 East Red River Street in Victoria. Trustees will also consider the purchase of virtual dissection training anatomy tables an elevator maintenance services contract, and several resolutions relating to construction processes, wage rates, and delegation of authority under state law. Other agenda items include setting rental rates for the Leo J. Welder Center for the Performing Arts, nominating a board member to the Museum of the Coastal Bend Advisory Board, and adopting an SB 37 resolution. An executive session is also planned to discuss personnel matters as allowed under the Texas Open Meetings Act. In state news, a formal list of persons lost in the July 4th flood in Kerr County has been released by the Texas Rangers. Texas Public Radio's Jerry Clayton has more.
The list contains the names and ages of 117 people who died and 2 who remain missing. In a joint statement, Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring and Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly said the names were not new to their community, calling them family, friends, and neighbors. They also thanked the first responders and those who are still supporting recovery efforts. The catastrophic flooding event happened in the Hill Country region in the early morning hours of July 4th, taking the lives of at least 135 people. Among the dead were 27 young campers and counselors at Camp Mystic, a popular summer camp along the Guadalupe River. I'm Jerry Clayton in San Antonio.
It's now been over a month since Kerr County's catastrophic flooding on the 4th of July. Texas Public Radio's Jack Morgan has this report on the state of the recovery effort.
On Kerrville's Water Street downtown, there's a cyclone fence that runs about a city block. That fence has become a memorial wall. Hundreds of flowers and photos of those who have died, at least 71 adults and 37 children, and the 2 people that are still missing. I spoke with a man who only wanted to give his first name as Steve, who didn't lose anything in the flood, but he was awake for it all.
At 3:30 in the morning, I knew it was raining hard. Me and my dog were up, and it's hard to think that people were going down that river. Kids were dying.
His voice cracked with emotion as it did throughout the interview.
That day of the flood, the morning, it was like none of us were red or blue. We were just all Americans.
I asked him if there was anything in particular on the memorial wall that got to him.
The girls from Camp Mystic, it was really hard because I have 2 daughters, and I can only imagine what they must have felt, how scared they were to be in that water.
Also at the memorial wall, Julia, who lives in Seguin, but who was coming back from a funeral for her father.
I was coming back from his memorial service yesterday in New Mexico, and I was drawn to the area. I already had plans to stop here before I even took the trip out.
As the interview wound down, it had begun raining, and I told her I would let her get out of the rain. She declined, suggesting those lost in this tragedy were far more important than her discomfort.
Yeah, it was just kind of that washing away the tears.
The next person I spoke to had been moving down the memorial slowly, reading every notice. When she spoke, it was surprising.
I grew up in England. I now live in Missouri, and I've been doing disaster relief for the last 15 years.
Jess says she works for an organization called All Hands and Hearts and was there to help. I suggested that going to the site of natural disasters with regularity sounded to me like an overwhelming line of work.
It would be, but I get to see the best of humanity in the darkest times. I work with volunteers to help a community they don't know for no reason other than that they saw it on the TV and they thought people could use a helping hand. And so I am honored to get to be a part of that.
Driving a bit further, I saw a surprising sign, emotional support here.
I'm Kelsey Vilmont, Director of Community Relations and the Public Information Officer. This is our Emotional Support Center, and it is located at 819 Water Street. It is a free service for anyone impacted by the flood to come in, have a safe space to talk.
She works for the Hill Country Mental Health Development Disability Center. Kelsey didn't lose her home, but even those who didn't suffer trauma.
We grew up on the river. The river has been, at least for me, something vital and just where all of my memories are made. So it's been kind of strange having to redefine that relationship with the river as well.
Realizing the tranquil Guadalupe could become a deadly wall of water is tough to process. Jess, the aid worker we talked to earlier, says there's something everyone can do.
Not everybody has the ability to come down here in person, but for those who are struggling right now, to know that people around the country are holding them in prayer and sending their best wishes, it is an important thing that we can all do.
Over the past month, a substantial amount of cleanup has been done from the July 4th floods, and there are months left of work to go. While cleaning up debris and dealing with trauma are not the same endeavor, the need for assistance with both continues to be great. I'm Jack Morgan in Kerrville.
Fans of anime, video games, and pop culture gathered in Victoria this past weekend for the city's first ever Fan Fest. Attendees got to meet the voices behind some of their favorite characters: Carla Perez, best known for portraying Rita Repulsa in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Chuck Huber, the voice of Android 17 in the Dragon Ball franchise, headlined the event. The convention featured cosplay contests, vendor booths, a video game tournament, and open Q&A panels with special guests. And in sports, the Tulsa Drillers connected for several solo home runs against the Corpus Christi Hooks yesterday as they took the series finale 3-0 in front of over 4,000 fans at Whataburger Field. James Hicks, activated from the injured list to make his 5th start of the season, retired 8 of 11 Tulsa hitters. Hudson Leach delivered 1.1 scoreless innings of relief in his 2nd Double-A appearance. Anderson Beto permitted 2 hits and 2.2 frames, including a homer by Chris Newell in the 6th. The Hooks are now in last place in the second half of the Texas League South standings with a 15-24 record. They hit the road for a series in Amarillo this week and then return home to face Frisco next week. More information at corpuschristitx.gov. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.